units?
Yes, actually, it is the local council administration that usually gets Uganda among us the best four on the African continent. Of course, South Africa, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda. So this kind of local arrangement that is majorly orthodox and village-related is extremely important. The local council administration is actually more important, almost, than all the other peremptory other positions to which, of course, members have voted for. I can tell you succinctly that without these local council leaderships, I think we cannot be in position to curb the degree of criminality in the country. They are the cheapest means of administration that we have in Uganda. Not paid for, certainly, but you can know that these are almost majorly voluntary. That is why these are positions for which I myself, as a personal opinion, do not even think that it should be, that election should be based on partisan political party affiliations. In my opinion, I think it is supposed to be integrity-based. And these are people that can be in position to, of course, galvanize the stability and robustness of community arrangements.
Thank you. Professor Puli, I've not been around a long time, but just looking at what happened this past week, processions, numerous candidates there. When you look at the RC and now the LC administrative units in 1986 and now, are there any similarities? Is there anything we're learning from this?
Well, Timothy, I normally tell my students that I don't comment on local politics. There are more qualified people here who can comment on local politics. I normally deal with regional and international politics, but in terms of where I live and the participation, one very good example is the guy who normally washes my car in Bukoto. He stood and won. He's now very excited. He's, in fact, I'm going to buy him a desk and a chair so that he can start operating as a chairman of the village. So I would like to congratulate Musomesa for having gone through. But you can't build democracy without the local structures. I think as a political scientist, this is where really things happen, because minus the local structures, then you cannot build a resilient and self-sustaining democracy. So the exercise that happened yesterday, of course, in 1986, the LCs or the RCs at that time, which were more based on individual merit, not on political party platforms, this would be the difference. I remember in the election that I participated in at that time, we voted for a thief to become a defense secretary. and he did, and after that, the thieving stopped. So people get responsibilities in a way. It also, gets the local communities to possibly also resolve their problem. Of course, everybody and I is excited about the stamps. Everywhere you go now, everybody is talking about the stamp. Stamp has become a stamp. And I have a personal experience. I went to get a letter from the chairman for a specific reason, and unfortunately I went driving. So I parked across the road, and when the man looked at me, I said, "Look, but this letter should be 10K. He said, "No, Mtamani. We moved away from that long time ago." I ended up parting with 200,000. So this stamp, the stamp by here now, it's been centralized. The local government is going to issue it, but beyond the stamp, of course, beyond the I'm not trying to trivialize the importance of the LOCs. So these are very important structures in our democracy.
Thank you. Professor Balunywa, it seems like with each passing electoral season, the temperature tends to go up regardless of the position that is there. I saw processions that I've never seen with LC1s. What has really prompted that now such a foundational local administrative unit has got so many people charged up there to ensure that they get into those positions?
Well, I think it's the interest in democracy in the country. As colleagues have said, really the grassroots is extremely important in promoting democracy. And I was amazed at the interest that people had. But it also brought out something very interesting with the young people who were unemployed. So we had a bit of violence in some places because they felt, as Puli has said, the stamp could have been one of the driving forces in people getting to this post. But it's also very important to recognize the fact that for the local communities, I think integrity probably was most important, rather than simply what party you have. But you know, my colleague there is in the different party from mine, so we want to win the elections from our party, because we feel that it is the ideology that we're pursuing that is bringing people up. Yeah.
Thank you. Allan, finally, there was a poster that was going around of Solomon Ssenrwanja, who I think you know is a journalist now with African journalism, and he ran for LC1 and won. And I was listening to some of the things he was saying that, you know, we need the elite to go back down there to ensure things are working. Do you believe in the same notion to have the elite go down there?
153%. I completely associate myself with that thinking. And personally, as a movementist, I accept that multi-party politics is what we have at the moment in Uganda, that's the current dispensation. Do I believe in it? Probably not, because I don't know that Uganda is actually structured to accommodate that sort of political thinking. I am more interested in individual merit politics and movement politics that allowed someone like my mother, who was a lifelong nurse, to become an LC1 chairperson, the most apolitical person I've ever met in my life, became an LC1 chairperson because of the belief by the residents of Mengo Hospital at the time that she was the best person to handle their affairs. And when you have people like Solomon Ssenrwanja, who is switched on, exposed, has some sense of right and wrong, and it's good. And I've always said we want doctors and engineers at that grassroots level. And I totally associate myself with the statement by Professor that Makerere University should be run by professors. The issues there should be run by people who are affected by them on a daily basis. We shouldn't have survivors and hustlers and careerists at an LC1 level, because I think that sort of distorts political thinking, it distorts political direction, and it moves it away from ideology to parasitism, to a parasitic relationship.
Thank you. Let's jump into our conversation. The candidates were nominated, and between July and August, they'll be presented before the UN Security Council. Later on in the year, they'll be presented before the UN Assembly for one to be picked or appointed to become Secretary General of the UN. That will happen then in Jan of 2027 there. But let me come to Allan first and foremost, because this announcement was made and Ambassador Dr. Olara Otunu really accepted it at the Media Center. Your take on the gentleman that is the candidate for the country and the thinking behind it by the president?
You know, you have to give it to President Museveni. This is really the highest level of political chess you can ever come across. You know, by appointing Olara Otunu, it's a huge statement. This was a sworn enemy of the president, politically at least, and they differed significantly, but the president has agreed for him to run as Uganda's candidate at the United Nations. We can debate whether he stands a chance or not, but at a local level, it's incredible that that has happened. And knowing their history, knowing the differences they've had over time, I applaud the president for showing that magnanimity and appointing Olara Otunu, who's been probably one of his most fierce critics over the years. And also for Olara Otunu personally, I think it's some sort of self-actualization. You know, the man is 75 years old now. He probably stood a better chance 30 years ago, but I wouldn't rule him out completely now, because his impact on the United Nations is still being felt, and he probably will clock some mileage. Let's wait and see how it goes, and we wish him the very best in this pursuit.
Allan, sticking with you, because the Ambassador Olaro Otunu did want to vie in '96. Government didn't endorse him.
I think conversations have happened between him and President Museveni. As simple as that. I think, you know, there's a certain caliber of Ugandans. This General Museveni, these Amama Mbawazis, these people who could disagree, but also respect each other in those disagreements. Take different positions, but somehow maintain some level of respect. And I think there was some mutual respect all through, because it's very difficult to dismiss Olaro Otunu's, you know, profile. He's done significant things as a foreign minister. I think what has changed more than anything else is that a conversation has happened. And that conversation is what has led to the sort of rapprochement, I don't know what the right phraseology is, between the two. And for me, this is the icing on the cake. This is the, and from President Museveni's perspective, it just makes me even much more interested in the person and the thinking of the president, because he has moved a chess piece, and it's a very interesting move that he has made. And it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Does he expect Olaro Otunu to win? I don't know. Does it matter if Olaro Otunu wins or not? Probably not. But Uganda will be in the contest.
Thank you. Professor Balunywa, Ambassador Otunu comes with a wealth of experience on the diplomatic scene, but also having been Minister of Foreign Affairs, having been Undersecretary to the UN when Kofi Annan was there. But also the candidates, the other 6 candidates, in the most recent past, have been in the governments of their countries. Mentioned like the candidate from Senegal has been in cabinet, there has been a diplomat.
Has been president.
Has been president.
Macky Sall.
Yes. And you see this, how does that play in for the space that he hasn't been in any political scene or any diplomatic scene? What makes him formidable?
I think if you go by the African Union principles, ordinarily you would expect that the African Union should back a candidate. And I'm surprised to learn that Senegal has put up somebody.
Yes.
So it would have been good for Dr. Olaro Otunu if he was the only candidate from Africa. So you would have this block vote, hopefully, that would come into play. But this is something we want to discuss, whether actually that block vote can actually come.
Yes.
But I mean, given his experience, definitely he's the most ideal candidate. And even looking at the continent, he's somebody who's been in diplomacy for that long, Minister of Foreign Affairs for that long, and definitely the most ideal candidate. And what Anne is saying, something about President Museveni's reconciliatory spirit is what beats us all, because we didn't expect that. But if you go back into history, for him to run government effectively, he's gone and talked to people he's been shooting guns with. You know, and Moses Hari was one example, the late Moses Hari, and many others. So I think the candidacy is unique because, first of all, it was not expected. 2, given that history they had behind them, and the need for the country to also be at peace with itself, I think is the right candidate.
Professor Apuli, the 6 candidates had the town hall last week. A very rigorous debate, talked about crisis, talked about what's happening around the world. Our very own Ambassador Olaro wasn't there. What does this mean for his chances, especially now that we all know that there are 7 candidates that are running for the Secretary General?
There is so much to say about this candidature, but I think for me the point would be the town hall would have added something to the candidature of Olaro Otunu, because then the other candidates have been exposed to the General Assembly, which is supposed to do the appointment. Of course, the rules say that the Secretary General is appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council. Now, crucially, of course, having missed out on the town hall, but he still has a chance because you have to canvass the UN Security Council. And I think that's where the really most important decision is going to be made. And not the entire of the Security Council, but rather the P5, the permanent 5. Because once the P5 have agreed, it's certain 100% that you're going to be appointed. So yes, he missed out on the town hall, but he still has a chance between now and November, when the final vote is taken. Tomorrow we are going to go into the straw polling, where the council members are going to be asked to vote informally, but to indicate their preference. Now the process, how it unravels, is that the council will be given, members will be given papers. The 10 non-permanent members will be given white papers. They vote on white. The permanent members are given two sets, if I remember off my head. One is green, and the other used to be blue, now it's red. So where they indicate to encourage, if you want to encourage the candidate to go forward, you vote on the green. If you want to discourage the candidate, you vote on red. And then that will give us an indication. So by the end of Friday, we'll get an indication out of the 7, how many people have been discouraged, how many candidates have been discouraged from going forward. So yes, so the most crucial thing for me would be that he does not get any veto, or does not get any veto from the P5. But even if you got a veto from any of the P5, because history has shown that the previous Secretaries General, Doug Hammarskjöld, Youthant, Kurt Waldheim, Kofi Annan, Boutros Ghali, all of them got at least one success. They got a discouraging vote, but that did not stop them becoming a Secretary General. But the most important thing is not really to get any of the negative votes. And I think with the CV which Dr. Olaro Otunnu has presented, the vision which he has presented, those 10 points in terms of the reforms, the Pact of the Future, UN at 80, all this, I think would make him a very strong candidate. Although, of course, also we must put a caveat that the multilateral system in general is in trouble. Is in trouble. Why? Because of the geopolitics that is happening, the crisis that we have seen in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, and the whole thinking among the permanent members of the Council that the UN should do less. That's why some of the members have left some of the most important structures. So yes, Dr. Olaro Otunnu has his work cut out for him.
Professor, before I leave you to come to Honorable Mbidde, you mentioned something about how interesting this candidature is. What do you mean by that?
The interesting thing is, and again, we also need to look at this from the point of view of the domestic politics. And I would want to associate myself with what Alan and the Prof has said, that part of the longevity of the NRM government is to be able to reach out at very crucial times to extend a hand to the former opponents. That in 2026, we can have a government of Uganda supporting or putting forward a candidate who, when he was the Under-Secretary General for Children in Armed Conflict, he was the first occupant of that office. And the things he said and wrote about what was happening in northern Uganda. And now, so many years down the road, 30 years or so, the same government can nominate him for this very prestigious position, which of course also we need to remember that when we talk about the Macky Sall's candidature, Macky Sall was not nominated by Senegal, he was nominated by Burundi. Why? Because he had fallen out with the government the current government in Senegal. Macky Sall is Senegalese, currently is living in Morocco, nominated by Burundi. Of course, now the realignment of domestic politics in Senegal the current government has agreed to support him. But there is that bit also, and I think also we need to go into this because the candidature of Macky Sall is not supported by the AU. In fact, when he was first nominated by Burundi, 24 African countries objected, including his own Senegal. They say, look, this is not our candidate because he has not gone through the processes of the African Union, which is the credentials committee to agree a common position and all that, which of course Dr. Olaro Tun also suffers from because he's really not a candidate for the African Union. But that notwithstanding, what I think is interesting is the point that the President Museveni and his government, the way they are able, our very own person who is here, Mukasa Mbidde, went to the East African Legislative Assembly, because of that extending of the hand by the NRM, where Mbidde was described as a good DP, and he became a member of Yala. And he has served 10 years in Yala, courtesy of the support that he got from. So, and I think that's the mature politics which Allan is talking about, that we should be able to go beyond. This is what we have been lacking in this country, that we need to go beyond some of this, the punch and Judy kind of politics that we, as the British call it. And we really stand on principle and we say this is our candidate and we can support this person. So,
thank you.
So give it to the NRM.